grief doesn't always stay buried. Today on Let's Talk Terror, I'm joined by the filmmaker behind The Body Is Watching Me. This short is raw, it's haunting, it's emotional, and it takes grief and transforms it into something horrifying. And that guilt is prominently featured in bright, bold, violent red against a stark black and white background. So today we're talking grief, visual storytelling, and how horror can embody the weight of loss. Let's talk terror. All right. Welcome, Ben. Welcome. I'm very happy that you came to talk to me and very excited so that viewers can hear all about The Body Is Watching Me. But before we get into it, could you please introduce yourself and tell me just a little bit about your short film?
Hi, so I'm Ben Curtis-Horsfall. Curtis-Horsfall. I have to say my T's because I forget that I'm English and we drop them all the time. So Curtis-Horsfall. I don't want to sound like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, we
so
don't want that.
yeah, so my name's Ben Curtis-Horsfall, and I made a short horror film called The Body Is Watching Me. Um, yeah, let's go. So,
All right, cool. We'll get into it. Okay, so you mentioned this is a horror film, obviously, because I don't review anything else. But horror, I feel like, is probably the best way to talk about taboo subjects and things that are just,
Mhm.
we don't really want to talk about in real life. Horror is a great avenue for that. Why did you pick horror? Do you feel the same way about it, or was it just, oh, horror is easy to get into. Let me just do that.
I mean, I'm sure, throughout your experience, you've seen that there are many horror films, which makes you think that it's really easy to do, but it's really not because there's so many terrible ones out there, aren't
Yeah,
there?
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I always look at horror as one of those genres that works really well with other genres. So you can have like horror comedy or a horror drama or a horror action. You can it sits really nicely. It blends really nicely with other genres. So I personally I wanted to do something that had like a family drama, like a kind of psychological thriller aspect, but the horror becomes the glue that sticks those things together. And you're right, you can explore so many things through horror. The metaphor, you make a real pain, a real problem, a real fear into a metaphor that then becomes the challenge for the main character throughout the story.
Right. And this story is about a woman who is more or less haunted by her dead dad. Um,
Mhm.
is forced to, she has to plan the funeral, and this whole time there's this a literal his body is coming after her.
It's
Um,
very cheerful, isn't it?
oh, of course, very nice, very fun story, good time for everybody.
Yeah.
And at the end, I won't say what it is at the end, but there's this big revelation. What was the initial idea behind telling the story? Do you have any kind of like background with, oh, I lost somebody, or did this just, where did the idea come from?
Oh, well, I'll try to keep this kind of not like a group therapy session or
Yeah.
something, but yeah. So the year that I wrote it a couple of years ago, and the year that I wrote it, we had lots of untimely deaths,
Mhm.
So and you find yourself in these situations where you can no longer see this person. anymore, but they still exist. It's in it within everybody else, and you know, it's really sad, but also at the same time, you sometimes you find this idea of my idea of that person, the person that's passed, and your idea of the person that's passed clash sometimes, you know, and it kind of creates like a spectre of that person. So there's that aspect to it. But then there's also there's something that's perhaps a little bit more literal. So my dad has multiple sclerosis, and I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning this, but he would fall over a lot, and he couldn't get up. And I was unable to get him up off the floor. And the first couple of times that this happened, he was just lying on the floor while we were waiting for help. And um, he was there for such a long time, while we were waiting for, you know, more people to come and help us, that kind of wherever I turned, I was very conscious that he was always in the corner of my eye, just lying on the ground somewhere. And I came home that evening, and I think because I was very tired, you kind of have the trick of the eye where I'm in my own home, but you know, you can sort of see him in the corner of your eye,
Yeah.
and it kind of the idea of it was kind of haunting me. It was troubling me, and so it was. I mean, I wasn't literally seeing anything.
Right.
No, that would be too wild. But but yeah. So it's kind of. I wouldn't say it's like a one-to-one translation of my experience, but it's more like the sort of several experiences I had. All these experiences I had leading up to the year, and then writing it was kind of trying to exercise those feelings and put them somewhere.
Was it therapeutic for you to do that?
Um, So yes and no. I mean, that's the thing with filmmaking. You know, on the one hand, it is it's very therapeutic to give your thoughts structure and order. You know, to yeah, to lay them all out. You know, when they say that if you have a problem, or you write a list of all the problems you've got, and it
Mhm.
kind of helps it. So in that respect, it was quite helpful to get those ideas out. And but then on the other side of it, it's the actual kind of construction of the movie then becomes very difficult, because you're asking an actor to just lie down and do nothing on the floor, and actors generally like to move and do things, and you know, and you kind of, so it helped to to express those feelings and kind of get them out, and but then you're sort of trying to explain it to other people through this medium, and I think I had a lot of conversations where this hasn't happened to me. You know, this is not directly based on my experience or anything. My dad is still alive, so touch wood. It's quite morbid.
Yeah. Everybody knock on wood, audience. Well, you mentioned that, you didn't literally see him just like lying on the floor, just out and about. But the protagonist did. Your story went from her, kind of just imagining things to, oh, actually there's a real presence, and we see that at the
Mhm.
end. It's, this thing can come out and touch her. Was that always planned in your story, or were you writing and you're like, what if this happened?
I think it was always the intention that it would be able to touch her. Because I suppose when you're in these any kind of situation, when you have any kind of grief or trauma that you're carrying around, you tend to kind of think of it as like it was in the past. You know, it exists within you, um, and so but it's not real. But if it exists within you, then it is real, and therefore it
Right.
does have the ability to to touch you, whether metaphorically or literally. You know, it can kind of take a hold of you and quite literally suffocate you sometimes. So.
Okay. Okay. Now, guilt, is the true monster in this movie. It's not the father,
Mhm.
it's guilt. How did you approach translating that emotion on screen? Because that's something that, like, I'm sure everyone has felt inside, but I feel like
Mhm.
that would be hard to make others feel, especially when they're not in that situation. But for me, it's like, oh, no, why do I feel bad? I'm just watching the movie. I didn't do anything. Why do I feel like this?
I think, yeah, I mean, everybody feels it on some level for everything, and it's just trying to find those moments where we do feel guilt. We either tend to feel guilt on our own, when we're alone with our thoughts, but conversely, we find ourselves in situations where, I mean, hopefully not you or I to any large degree, but we lie to people,
Yeah.
and and we
Speak for yourself.
but we feel guilt in those moments,
Yeah.
and it's just. I mean, I'd like to say that I had like a great master plan for it, but I think it's just with the actors. I think explaining to the actors what the scene was, and they brought their own thoughts to it, and like the whole crew, the whole team kind of came together to help craft these moments. And often guilt is kind of saying nothing. I mean, there's a lot of silences. There's very little dialogue in the movie because you kind of find. I don't know. You kind of find well, in these situations there isn't a lot to say,
Yeah.
really, is there? And there's nothing you can say that will alleviate your guilt, and there's nothing that you can say that will make anybody else feel any better either. So it's just the silence. I think it's allowing those moments to play out with the characters, and
So the father in question here, he has this presence that is very accusatory, but it's also
Mhm.
really, really sad to look at because he is sick and has died, but it's also like you're to blame for this, you did this. And those are two very powerful emotions. How do you like balance that? Because I think they're pretty equal. It's like I didn't feel he was more on one side than the other. They're pretty equal. How did
Mhm.
you balance that?
Well, I think you sort of the question is in the film is that actually him, or is that her personification of him? Because as much as we fight with our families, and there's a the body has a like a murderous intent, which is not necessarily, which is, and you kind of asking yourself throughout the story, is this an accurate representation of him as a person, or is this how she feels? It's like I was saying earlier that your idea of the person that's passed and someone else's idea, they clash with each other, and you add so much of your own experience to these memories that you kind of can't trust your own memory to a certain degree. Can I is it, it's not. I don't want to give too much away for anyone that hasn't
Yeah.
watched it. But yeah, I think it's the memory plays a part in that as well, and powerful emotions like guilt and grief can affect your memory. They can re-inflect conversations you've had with a totally different emotion. So yeah, it's as to whether he is real, is the real version of him or not, is kind of well, it's up to the interpretation of the viewer.
And what would your interpretation be? Do you have one? You don't have to tell me, but do you have an interpretation?
I feel like I'm going to do the David Lynch thing now, where they asked him, "Could you expand on that?" No.
No.
So no, I think I do. I think because writing it, I do, but I'd rather leave that a mystery. I
Okay.
think.
Okay, I'll let it be. You can have that secret.
Thank you.
Now, now, on the filmmaking side, we've talked about the story. Now, the actual filmmaking, you made this movie in black and white and red. And I love that because the red is this huge punch in the face. for like, this is important, this is right here, look at this thing. Did you always want to make it in black and white? And why?
Um,
Why was that choice made?
oh, the choice was made. It was actually, I mean, I'm going to level with everybody here now. It was actually like a decision that we made kind of into the shoot. So initially, it was supposed to be in color,
Okay.
but as it went on, it felt that these kind of emotions are black and white, aren't they? Especially guilt. It's either guilty or you're not guilty.
Right. Yeah.
And we see things in kind of black and white, but there's several shades of grey in the middle. So it felt pertinent to the story to to shoot it like that. But red is, I mean, it's the color of anger. It's the color of blood. It's whenever you get an itch or an irritation, your skin goes red. You know, it's a sign that something is angry and inflamed. And I think that's the idea that her memory is angry and inflamed, and it's kind of yeah, kind of poisoning her, really.
Yeah, it's funny that, even with this horrible ghost that is haunting you and like just making you feel terrible, you got to make him red too. You got to do
Yeah.
everything with him just in case you didn't get it the first time. It's like, this is bad. This is not good.
That's the thing. I mean, it's like trying to make these moments where you've got something very somber. So you've got a funeral. We have the day before the funeral. These moments are not usually characterized by sort of like loud into kind of things. But it's like it's kind of like trying to attack the audience, really. You know, it's kind of trying to slam their face into it and make it really overwhelming for them, so they can experience those moments, those memories, that kind of those pangs of guilt. They kind of completely interrupt the course of the day.
Yeah. And you have a lot of close-up shots too of people's faces, and I feel like that gives it a really claustrophobic feeling,
Mhm.
almost as if you're trapped inside that person's head with them. Was that also a choice that you like wanted in your head to make, or was it just, this is a cool shot, so I'm gonna go right up close to their face to make sure you can
Yeah.
see the anguish
Yeah, just really press in there.
really
But
close?
yeah, I mean, it's the story of the human face, isn't it? There's what I wanted to do is have those wider shots that we see, like the church, and we see these places where we see our environments, but the environment is inert. It's the people inside
Yeah.
that create the. I'm doing a lot of gesticulation. They create the drama and the emotion, and you watching. Well, I was really really lucky to have two exceptional actors with Poppy and her sister Holly. Like they were, and you wanted to look at their faces, because there's subtleties to some of the things that they're doing, so you need to be able to see them. But there were certain shots that we made close-ups, because you're watching these actors, and they're just giving so much, and
Yeah.
you just want to see that, and really really let them tell the story.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell a story, and I feel like, are they okay after this? Because they were really like acting their asses off. Like, are y'all okay?
I mean, they were absolute professionals. I mean, there were certain scenes, like towards the climax, there's a lot of running,
Yes.
and and one of we're getting the Mel Thompson, the actor that played Poppy, to kind of run up and down these stairs constantly, and just full of grief, screaming, crying, and then we'd call cut, and it would kind of be like,
Wow.
and then and it was amazing that they could kind of turn it on and off like that, and they had one eye on the performance but another eye on themselves, so you could, it wasn't too chaotic, and they were in control of what they were doing. It was, honestly, it was really, I felt very privileged to be able to work with people like that. They just bring their A game,
Yeah.
and they don't have anything less than A game. because
Now,
then it makes me want to try harder.
oh, yes, for sure. Now, anytime there's a running scene and someone mentions it, I like to ask how many times, how many takes did you take on that running scene?
Oh, um,
You can give a ballpark answer.
I mean, because it's broken up into different
Yeah.
shots, but it is all just one huge staircase. So maybe 20 times, maybe all told for all of those different shots, and well, your time is against us, and I think there's this thing where it's like you hear like David Fincher and Stanley Kubrick, and they do
Oh,
millions and
yes.
millions of takes. And whenever I want to do more than like two takes, you always get that comment that's like, "Who do you think you are, David Fincher?" And it's like, well, no, it's precisely because I'm not David Fincher. Like, I
Right.
can't nail this in one go. Like, we've got 20 minutes. We try and get as many as possible so that we get the best one, and also so that the actors have an opportunity to explore their their performance as well. You know, they've got time to be able to do it the way I'd like to do it, and then the way that they'd like to do it, and then time to fuse those ideas together. And that's often where the best stuff comes from, really, when it becomes like a collaboration. And so the multiple takes I'm not sitting there with the megaphone just do it again.
Yeah.
But one comment that I got, it became a catchphrase, which is after every take I go, "That was great, I love that one, let's do it again."
Yeah.
To which everyone's like, "Well, it can't have been that good then." But it's just, you've got this such a tiny amount of time, and just want everyone to be able to do their best work. And that goes for the sound and the camera and the lights, just giving everyone enough time to be able to do their best work and kind of fire on all cylinders together.
I'm
That's
glad
quite a long
you
answer.
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the sound because that gives me the perfect segue to talk about the father. So
Mhm.
there's two things that I want to mention with him, and that is the sound design with the every time the father is writhing around on the ground trying to get to Poppy, there are these like crackling noises, and it's just like
Mhm.
noises that you don't want to hear. It's like noises that your body makes sometimes. Like maybe you stand up too fast. We're probably a little bit older now, so your knees crack, things that they're not supposed to do. And oh, anytime there's like sound, it's wild. So can you talk about that process with designing those noises with how that actor was just on the floor?
Well, I can't take any of the credit for that, really. That was the sound designer, George Ramsden. We discussed what, because from the beginning, the idea of the crack with every movement, like the
Yeah.
idea that the body has been dead, and now it's come to life again. It's like it was like cracking through the rigor mortis and stretching all the ligaments out. And I've got a particular personal connection to that as well. I've got psoriatic arthritis, so
Mm.
I've had it since I was like 20. So but moving and cracking and the kind of grinding, and I suppose I just wanted to. It bothers me. It kind of scares me. So I just wanted to scare other people with it. Really, maybe that helps me. Maybe that makes me feel less scared about it. But yeah. But George was just incredible. Like, we had a couple of discussions to start off with, and he came back to me with, I'm not going to reveal his trade secrets as to how he made those sounds, but
Okay.
they are they're horrible, aren't they? Like, they're genuinely
Well,
really
they're
unsettling.
horrible, but in a good way. So like I kind of like it. I like those noises, the sound of like cracking knuckles, and I do it to my wrists all the time. I don't have any kind of arthritis or anything, but it's just like doing this all the time. You can't hear it on my mic, but I kind of like it. But I can understand why people wouldn't because it's not exactly a natural sound. Like your body probably shouldn't be doing that. You should be oiled up. You should be
Yeah.
greased up.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's just you're trying to use the sounds of, rather than come up with some crazy sounds. I mean, I think, like Ridley Scott says, that there's nothing better than nature when it comes to
Yeah.
inspiration, and just the it's one of those moments like when someone, like you said, you stand up too quickly and your knee cracks, and then everyone else in the room goes, "Oh,"
Yeah.
and it just sounds unsettling. It just sounds like age and decay and kind of the body breaking down.
Now, at 16 minutes, this is not a short, but it is on the shorter side.
Mhm.
And even though it is a short, it carries quite a bit of emotional weight. Did you have any kind of challenges filming this and having that come across that this is a very trying and serious ordeal? Or did you just hope that people got it?
Um, I mean, there are times when you have to remind yourself of what you're doing. That you have to. We are still making a movie, and there has to be that balance where um, you still have to make it thrilling, as opposed to um, just too hard to watch.
Yeah.
But um, there are there. I mean, like I said, I was really gifted to have the actors, especially Mel, who played Poppy, because we were able to discuss these things beforehand, and she was able to bring so much of her own experience to the table with it, and she really. I was more of a conductor in these scenes. She was just playing this kind of these emotions, and you're just trying to find the right tone for every moment. I think there's a tendency sometimes, especially when you're doing something with horror, that it can sometimes get a bit goofy without you meaning to,
Yeah.
and it's trying to be restrained with those moments because I think if you throw too many in there, they lose their impact. You know.
Right. What has the reaction been from people who have seen this? Because I saw it, I loved it, I wrote a review on it. What have
You
other
did. It was a
people
lovely
thought?
review.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
It
for
was a
that, by the way.
lovely
Yeah.
movie, of course. What have other people been saying about this?
Um,
Well, first of all, who all has seen this? Is it like has it gone to any festivals? Where could people have watched?
so we're currently at nearly sort of 21,000 views on YouTube, which is pretty good. We've got some really good comments from that. That seems to be the way it's connecting. Like we send
Okay.
it to festivals, but it the festival thing is it's a hard one. It's the second film that I've entered into festivals, but there are so many things to consider that I think when what type of horror they're looking for, or
Yeah.
any of these kind of things, and then also just picking the wrong festivals as well. So
Yeah.
we I think I a put it into about 13 or 14, and it got selected by two currently.
That's
So
more than zero.
yeah, which people tell me is very good. So, but I have no frame of reference. So I'm just sitting here like, why? No. I think, yeah. I mean, the reaction has been really, really strong. I think, which is it's been really lovely because you spend so long sitting. I sit in this room. This is where I work. Spend so long just hunched over the computer, just trying to to put these things together, and trying to keep the clarity of my own idea in it. And yeah, it got a very warm, really, really warm response. As some people have told me that they, so some people have asked me what's wrong with me, which I think is quite, which I think is quite good. I think
Yeah,
it's
I take that as a compliment.
yeah, because I think the worst thing that you could possibly do is be in the middle. I
Oh
think
yeah.
you'd much rather be kind of hated then or loved, then kind of that's the
Right.
worst thing. If you don't inspire any kind of emotion in the viewer, then you kind of haven't done your job very well,
Yeah.
I think.
And what would you want people to take away from The Body is Watching Me?
I think it's the idea that um, we don't really always know what's going on with people, especially in these situations. Like all we can do is judge their behavior from the outside, and often when we judge someone's behavior from the outside with no context, they come across like assholes.
Yeah.
Really, like and we give people leeway when they're grieving, but I suppose it's kind of like it's something I'm really interested in. It's like the armchair critic. It's the person that is completely disconnected from a scenario but feels totally qualified to speak with authority on it.
Right.
And I and I think that's what I tried to do with the neighbor character, is have this person who's um you know we get them sometimes. I think they sort of refers to them as grief vampires. Those people that they're looking for some kind of grief to just as an excuse to get their own problems out, to kind of vent their own frustrations. And
And now, could you tell me what is next on your agenda? What do you have any movies coming up? Are you just focused on this film right now, getting it out there? Tell me about it.
so the next thing that I'm working on is it's currently in post production now. It's a another horror, but it's a social horror.
Okay.
It's called The Decay, and it's, well, I'm trying to find a way to speak about it where it seems mysterious and intriguing without giving too much away. Not doing a very good job.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
I think, yeah, it's essentially, to put it into a line, a girl with a mysterious zombie-like illness enters a doctor's surgery, but the doctor's surgery is not equipped to deal with her, and either literally in terms of what they can offer her, but also in terms of the doctor that's seeing her. He's too distracted to with his own stuff to be able to pay attention to her. And it's kind of partly inspired, I suppose, by the healthcare system in America is very different to the
Oh,
healthcare system here.
yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah, but there's a kind of feeling of like leaving everything until it's too late.
Yeah.
There's a feeling of the kind of terror that people are going through when they come to the doctors with something they don't understand what's happening to them, and the doctor is very casually, almost kind of dismissing them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love having a national health service. Like, I'm incredibly proud of it. It's a great thing to have in our country, but it's not without its problems. And I
Yeah.
think that and because of my experiences for myself and because of my dad, it felt pertinent to. I really wanted to do something with that, and
Mhm.
also as well, like zombies. Like, there's a there are lots of zombie movies,
Yes.
but there are very few ones that really grab you and stay with you. And I think it's the ones that are always connected to some kind of social question. Like, you look at like Romero's Dead trilogy,
Yes.
or 28 Days Later, and they all speak to some kind of societal ill, and the zombies are really there to just personify that. They just create a problem, aren't they? For the so yeah, I hope that was quite a rambling answer.
No, that's perfect. Perfect. I just like to hear about what's coming up next so that I can be ready when you send it to me so I can review it. So is there anything else you would like to say about The Body is Watching Me, about anything that you're doing? I'm gonna leave all of the links and things, whatever you want me to, in the description.
Mhm.
But is there anything else you want to say to the audience?
I please watch The Body is Watching Me, because I'd love to know what you think. I mean, that's the thing. I'm creating something that you need a reaction. You want to show it to people, and you want to see if it touches them, if it brings out if it scares them, if it
Yeah.
makes them, if they can relate to it in any way. Hopefully not literally. I mean, that would be terrifying, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? But, I can
Like
actually
you
see my
need to
dad right
go,
now.
yeah, you need to go see a doctor.
But yeah, I just like to know what people think. Really, I think it's like making trying to connect with a larger audience and see if it resonates with them, because it's there's a very personal aspect to the story.
Right.
And it's sometimes sometimes I worry that I get tunnel vision. You spend so long doing something that you're like, well, this means something to me, but does it connect with other people? And so yeah, so I mean, really good or bad, like I just love to hear what people have to say about it, because also it helps me improve as
Right.
well.
I mean, there's 8 billion people on Earth that's bound to connect with at least a few. At least the
Yeah.
odds are good.
Yeah, well, you hope so. It's also trying to battle the YouTube algorithm as
Oh,
well.
yes.
There's a. It feels like you're told that it's the digital system, and it's all just. But it does feel like it's like some sort of like Donkey Kong type thing where you have to try and get to the top and then you
Oh,
just get
yeah.
pushed down to the bottom again. Yeah, it's kind of terrifying.
Not as terrifying as a haunted person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm I really loved making it. The crew were amazing, and the cast were amazing, and the we shot it in Bristol in the UK, and there's just so many people that were willing to help us. We shot it for barely anything, really. Um, and so many people were willing to help us and devote their time, and it's really strange to think about it. It's a really we were making a horror movie. It's very dark, but also there's lots of like joy attached to it as well,
Yeah.
from just the sort of the camaraderie and the team that we put together, and it was really elating to to work like that. And yeah, it's very strange. I think I've done nothing but speak about this film for like the last couple of years while I put it together.
Well, keep
And
speaking about it. Keep speaking about it. You should be proud of this. Everyone who worked on it should be proud of it. It's a great movie.
but it's really strange. As soon as I'm in a situation where I'm asked to talk about it, suddenly I'm like, yeah. But yeah, I just want to, I just want to see if it connects with people. I mean, horror is that thing. Like you said, it can grab social taboos and really kind of work its way using the kind of metaphor as the metaphor, whatever that is about, into personified as some kind of monster or creature or what have you. Is it really stays with people, and I think that's ultimately what we're trying to do. You're trying to keep like a lasting leave a lasting impression on people. I mean, one of my favorite movies is The Exorcist,
Hmm.
and I mean that movie is like 54 years old this year, 53 years old or
Yeah,
something.
76. So, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and
76,
and
74. It doesn't matter. In the 70s.
yeah, it's 70. I think it's 73, but
Maybe
I'm
73.
just
I think you're right. The
I'm
Omen
not
is
going to Google.
76.
Yeah, yeah, but um, but yeah, it still has power now, and those the feelings of guilt and grief that come across in that story were a huge inspiration to me as well, because I think it's that. I mean, I'm going to talk about how much I love The Exorcist for a second, but it approaches what could have been quite a goofy subject, and it makes it palpable. It makes it feel
Right.
real. It makes it feel like it's happening next door to you. Like I mean, in the trailer they did the whole in a street in a house much like your
Yeah.
own, that kind of thing, and it really does have that feeling. And the scariest stuff in the movie isn't really nothing to do with the possession. I think it's like the interactions between people. The priest who's I kind of fell out with his mum before
Yeah.
she died, and he's haunted by that. And the mum who is feeling negligent because she left her daughter unsupervised, and that is where all of the lasting horror comes from. And I think it just I'm not comparing my film to The Exorcist. I think that'd be very arrogant, but that's what you aspire. That's what I aspire to, is to make those things that can kind of hopefully, stand the test of time and still freak people out in some way in many years to come, because they're universal. They things that will always feel like guilt and grief and fear and yeah.
The Body is Watching Me is proof that horror doesn't just live in the shadows, it lives in our memories. A huge thank you to Ben for joining me in talking terror and helping to peel back the layers of this haunting and emotional and deeply human short. Be sure to go follow Ben and Seven Horses Films for The Body is Watching Me and more of their work. And until next time, trust your fear and keep talking terror.